Gold is impure if it is mixed with copper. Copper is impure if it is mixed with gold. Gold by itself is not impure. Copper by itself is not impure. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is impure in this world. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is impure in this world. Self-alignment, manifestation, and purity. What is self-alignment and how to align yourself to yourself? And what does purity mean in terms of absolute purity and purity in terms of who you are? The definition of manifestation that we're going to follow is Trikanna Shuddhi, purity and unity in thoughts, words, and actions. For me, I manifest, bring to life, achieve my goal, fulfill my desires, live my dreams, etc. Bring to life what is truly in my heart, or what my heart truly, truly, truly desires. Couple of stories. When I was a child, my mother would sometime take me to a suniar, a goldsmith. Back then, the owner of the shop is also the goldsmith, is also the salesperson, is also the... So I saw gold being melted. My mom would give the gold and they would melt it and they would put it into a different shape. And sometimes we would sit there getting the job done. I enjoyed the process of melting of the gold, and then the goldsmith would say they're getting rid of impurities. And I was looking at impurities in terms of there must be some dirt, there must be some dust, but copper was considered an impurity. And I used to think, how can copper be impure? Because we used to have copper vessels, and water was offered to Shivalingam from copper vessels. So copper is a pure thing, and I loved copper as a metal, the color. But for gold, copper was an impurity. 100% or 24 karat gold means it's 100% gold. There is nothing, absolutely nothing mixed in it. And then there was something else also. For an ornament to keep its shape and form and be durable and be wearable and be useful and practical, it needs some impurity, which means 23 karat gold or 22 karat gold. Whether you mix copper in it or brass in it to give it a yellowish tinge or orangish tinge. What is the point here? A little bit of impurity is good to survive in this world, to be practical. Religious texts are interpreted usually in absolute terms. To keep things simple, what are impurities? Any permutation or combination of these 6 cardinal sins or 6 enemies. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, Mad, Matsya. Lust, anger, greed. By the way, greed includes miserliness. The inverse of it is also contributing or being driven by the same energy. Pride in the most egotist manner. And of course, envy, jealousy, which in some ways is a form of selfishness, that I and only I should have good things, you should not have it. or whatever is yours, I want to snatch it away from you. I want to make it my own. Instead of being open-hearted, open-minded, and having a loving sharing that, hey, I enjoy what you enjoy. I'm happy for you. I'm happy to see you successful, and so forth. Who does not have any of these 6 cardinal sins? Because these are required on this earth in a human form. We are not born with it. No kid is born with 6 cardinal sins. We all come with 5 human values: Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. They are divine qualities: love, peace, truth, right action, non-violence. We're born with it. They're inherent in us. Just the way we are born with lungs and kidneys and heart and a brain and so forth, in a digestive system and immune system. As human beings, we are born with the 5 human values. And in some way, one can say that that is God. If you want to ask, what is God? Love is God, peace is God, truth is God, dharma is God. These are divine qualities. We don't have to look for God. God is in our every thought, feeling, and actions, infused with these values. Very simple. And if you have to pick the underlying theme within all the 5 values, the underlying theme is love only. Love in action is dharma. Love in speech is truth. Love in thought is peace, non-violence, and so forth like that. So in absolute terms, these 6 cardinal sins are impurities. That's the religious way of looking at it. I'm not saying it's a wrong perspective, but I'm saying that's not what we're looking at, because there is a level of judgment that comes into place, because we judge other people who express these 6 cardinal sins. And then we judge ourselves. We feel guilty. We feel bad. We bring ourselves down. We hate ourselves when we see the expressions of these 6 cardinal sins within us. That's not the purity perspective we're taking in this session. We're taking the perspective of anything that is coming outside of it is impurity. Copper is impure for gold, and likewise gold is impure for copper. Even though gold is more precious, more expensive, one may think that, hey, adding some gold into copper, how can you call it impure? Gold doesn't even get tarnished, whereas copper gets tarnished. Regardless, gold is gold, copper is copper. Addition of copper to gold is an impurity for gold. Addition of gold to copper is an impurity for copper. And that's the perspective we're taking. An element by itself being 100% its own element. Sodium as an element being 100% sodium, and silver as an element being 100% silver, and mercury as an element being 100% mercury, and oxygen as an element being 100% oxygen. That is what we're talking about. Purity at an elemental, most fundamental, most basic, most scientific, most chemical sense, most physical, most earthly, most understandable, most tactile manner. When a chemist, when an alchemist, when an artist has to orchestrate, mix something together, it's going to look for the purest form of it. When we're cooking, you want some salt. Would you want salt mixed with gold just because gold is more expensive? Do you want salt mixed with sugar because sugar is sweeter? When you want salt, you want a pinch of salt. You may use less of it, but you want salt that is actually pure salt. Any salt that is adulterated, which means it has contamination, it has impurities, which means something that is not salt mixed into it. That's our definition. Here, impurity means something that is not it. How does this purity perspective is useful, accountable in self-alignment? For us to manifest what we want to manifest, for us to be an instrument of God, we have to be who we truly are. Salt has to be salt, sugar has to be sugar, copper has to be copper, and gold has to be 100% gold for it to be completely useful the way it is. I have to be who I am. And that's where the whole being myself meditation series comes into picture. Whatever you are, whoever you are, in the beginning, there will be some impurities and deviations from the norm, even deviations from self, but I have to acknowledge and accept all of me as I am and embrace myself and love myself just as I am at this moment. Because running away from parts of me because they are undesirable, because I judge them, is not self-alignment. Accepting my past, taking responsibility of all of it so that I can be responsible for my future or of my future. Because manifestation is something that I want in the future. And you have to be in your current space, which is where the circle of golden light comes into picture. The purpose of Phyllis Crystal Method foundational first tool is circle of golden light, is be yourself. You have to do nothing. Just be yourself in your own space, in your inner space, grounding yourself and being true to yourself, being true to your values, your priorities, aligning yourself with who you really are. As you understand it right now, being true to yourself, no pretension. You cannot pretend to be a better version of yourself. You don't have to improve upon yourself. You just have to accept and be yourself. Another story. As a child, I heard it from my mother. There was a lakadhara, a woodcutter, young child woodcutter, who would cut wood every day, and that would provide livelihood for the family. One day he was just whistling away as he was crossing a bridge over a river. His axe, iron axe, fell in the river, and he was devastated, crying, asking for help, that this is my livelihood. My family depends on it. I really want my axe. I really want my axe back. There was a fairy, an angel, a river fairy that appeared. She said, "Child, why are you crying?" He said, "I have lost my axe in your river. Kindly retrieve it for me." She complied. She looked for an axe and she came up with pure 100% silver axe. She said, "Is this your axe?" He says, "No, this is not my axe. I know my axe. It was an iron axe with wood handle." She said, "But you can have it. It will also cut wood." He says, "No, I want my axe back." So she went in, and this time she brought a gold axe. 100% gold, 24 karat gold. Beautiful, shining, obviously much, much, much more valuable axe. She said, "Is this your axe?" He says, "No, this is not my axe. I know my axe." Now think about it. He could have taken that 24 karat gold axe and sold it, and the money that he would get from it would be much more than he could probably earn cutting wood for the rest of his life. He said, "No, dear, this is not my axe." He kept crying. Then the river fairy the angel came out, the angelic mother came and brought his original axe. And the boy lit up, says, yes, this is my axe. This belongs to me. It is mine. I recognize it. So thank you so much. And the angelic form was so happy with the honesty and the self-alignment of the child. The child was honest with himself. He knew what was his, whether it was less valuable in absolute terms or more valuable in the eyes of other people did not matter. You interpret this story whichever way you want to, how it applies in your life. She gave the silver axe and the gold axe as a gift. Let's talk about manifestation. That's what it is. You manifest in your life only when you have self-alignment. You are aligned with yourself, who you truly are, whatever you are. In this case, purity is being true to yourself. Anything that is a deviation from you, not you, is a form of impurity for you. For you to be 100% aligned, be who you truly are. Self-alignment is a much better, much easier path that will lead us to self-realization. And the process of self-alignment itself is the process of self-realization. Self-realization looks like such an unattainable outside thing that probably Buddha did and some other saints and sages did. Well, they must have done it, but they did it in their own way. I can do it in my way that is relevant to me in the current time and place. And when I acknowledge and accept and take responsibility of who I am and be true to myself and my dreams so that I live the purpose of my life for the reason that I was born, not only I am aligned to self, then the whole universe aligns with me, to me, for me, to help me realize the purpose of my life, to manifest what I deserve, what is in my heart, without judgment, and applauding, supporting, guiding, blessing, loving, accepting, embracing, expanding, unifying at the same time, full of joy, peace, and goodness all around. Hugging myself. I love me is also a tool for self-alignment. Simple. Oh God, I'm so happy I love me.